I'm Michelle Rowan, President and COO of Franchise Business Review. And today I have the pleasure of talking more about the Cruise Planners franchise opportunity. Cruise Planners began working with Franchise Business Review in 2010, getting feedback from their franchise owners, which shows how long they've really been tuned into their franchisee community to understand their perspective of what's going well in the brand and what they can always be doing better to support the system. So that's awesome. And in the last 14 years, they have received over 40 of our franchisee satisfaction awards, which is bananas. That's a lot, including top franchises for veterans, top franchises for multi-unit franchise owners, top franchise for women, top low-cost franchises, and they are one of our Hall of Fame award winners, which means that they are a brand that has received our award for more than 10 years in a row. So that's just a little like, oh my goodness, that's all amazing. So today we are chatting with Scott, the Chief Strategy Officer at Cruise Planners. And his role, which he can tell more, is to really focus on the franchisees and helping them grow and be successful. And then joined with him today are two franchisees. We have Kyle Nichols, who was named our FBR Franchise Rockstar last year in the Millennial category, and Robert Feus, who, well, we'll get into that, but who came into the business a little bit later after he started. So thank you all for joining us today. And the goal is to help people understand what it's like to really own a Cruise Planners franchise, and more importantly, what it takes to be successful in your brand. So before we start chatting about it, I want to highlight just some of the data from your most recent survey that you did with the whole system, because it's very impressive. 97% of franchisees agree that they enjoy operating the business. 99% of franchisees are likely to recommend this franchise to other people. And 97% of franchisees believe that their franchisor acts with a high level of honesty and integrity. So I have some other data points that I'll share through our conversation, but I think that really sets the tone just about the culture. So before we talk to the franchisees, Scott, tell us about your role within Cruise Planners and kind of what you do for the franchisees in the network.
Well, I love the way you summarized it there. And first of all, thank you for having us on the call today. We, again, are just always excited about talking our business opportunity and what a great opportunity it is for anyone who's looking at basically getting into business, but also getting into a really exciting business and one that's fun to talk about. I'm a big believer, and to answer your question specifically, I really focus on the sales and marketing side of the business from the franchisee perspective, and always looking at how we can both increase our training and increase the services that we provide around those things to help them sell more, to be more efficient, and to become more successful in their business. Partly because I'm a believer that pretty much every business that's in existence is that it's very fundamental core in the sales business, is that we all sell something, whatever it is, whether it's we're selling our time as a consultant or we're selling certain services or whatever it might be that we're doing, we're all in sales. And of course, I always like to say, so if you're going to have to sell anything, why not sell something as exciting and fun as travel? I mean, there is just no other product that brings up more smiles and memories and has such a huge impact on people. So it really is a fun business, but it is a business. There's certainly a lot to understand and to really deliver the kind of service that our franchisees do. And so our role, and again, very proud of those statistics that you shared, but our role is really to do everything we possibly can to make the lives easier on our franchisees and to give them the ability to sell more. At the end of the day, of course, we're not successful unless they're successful. And so it really is our focus, and that is what drives us.
Amazing. So Kyle, I'm going to start with you, because when you became part of the Cruise Planner system, it was really just you to start. So first I want to say you were 27 years old when you decided to join the Cruise Planner system. So I just want to have you start with, what were you doing before, and what was the trigger to have you start looking to do something different in your life?
When I started, I was with the weddings department at Walt Disney World, and it really wasn't something that I wanted to be in long term. I just didn't like working for other people and being told when to be somewhere and what to do. And then COVID came along and I got furloughed and wasn't sure if I was ever gonna get called back, if my department was gonna exist when COVID ended and whatnot. And month one, I watched everything on TV. Month two, we kind of did all the house projects. So by month three, I was like, I'm bored out of my mind and need to do something useful with who knows how long, how much time I have on my hands. So that's when I kind of really started to dig into my research of cruise planners and really brought it up to Robert, and then we pulled the trigger.
Okay, so that was one of the questions I was going to ask. So when you started doing this, it was just the idea that this would be something that you ran, but you did get your partners kind of buy-in. They were part of the journey and in your decision-making process. Is that correct?
Definitely. Yeah, it was actually surprisingly easy. I thought I was going to have a little bit more pushback, especially for spending money on a franchise. I mean, Cruise Planners is a low-cost franchise, but there is still a cost, so that's a big factor for people. So I thought he was going to give me a little bit more pushback than he did, but he was essentially like, "Okay, you've looked into this, you've done your research. I trust you. If you want to do it, let's go." And I was like, "What? Okay."
So when you decided to look at franchises, were you looking at other franchise opportunities? Did you know that you wanted to be in a vacation, travel, cruise scenario, or did you start from scratch? And how did you get to Cruise Planners specifically?
I honestly started specifically with Cruise Planners. And my college professor is a Cruise Planner franchise owner who taught me everything that I kind of knew up to that point. And I had been a client of hers, so I was already familiar with cruise planners at that point, so I really wasn't looking at anybody else. I really didn't care much what anybody else had. I knew that was the best because that's what she chose to do with her life. So I was happy with the research that I came across and the information that cruise planners presented to me. I was golden from there. I really didn't dive into anybody else. I wasn't going to be home anywhere else, truthfully.
Excellent. So Scott, we know that Kyle didn't have travel specific experience. What are you looking for? He was at Disney, he was doing events. Is that important for you and who you bring into the system? What are you looking for in your next franchisee to join Cruise Planners?
Well, that's a great question. The first probably thing that we look for is, does somebody look good wearing green? So you can see there, Kyle definitely fits that bill, and we actually do embrace our. It's a part of our brand. It's something that we really do kind of have go through every aspect of our marketing, et cetera, because it's amazing how color can kind of just be attached to a brand and then associated with it. But to answer your question, again, we're looking for a couple of things. And of course, this question comes up all the time, looking for somebody more business related or somebody with a travel advisor background. And the truth is, there's only a few things that really we think sets the folks on the right path. One is you really need to like travel, right? It's just kind of a gimme that you should be passionate about travel and all the different opportunities that travel holds. Which, by the way, even though our name might lead you into thinking that, well, it's just about cruises, it really isn't. We actually are the #1 seller in the world of sandals vacations. We sell millions and millions of dollars of land vacations, both tours and resorts, all inclusives, et cetera. The majority of our business is cruise, but it's a great door opener for those who say, well, I don't want to cruise, I want to do something else. We do that, we sell it. So the brand itself, again, is designed to open the door to have a conversation about vacations. And that's the travel that we focus on, is that vacation type of business. So again, if you're passionate about travel and maybe you're someone that other family members have come to say, can you plan this trip? And should I go here or should I go? If you're that kind of person, you're the perfect person to look at this. And then the second thing that we tell you that I think is important to the successful business is you got to like people, right? Because at the end, you could fall in love with the cruise ships, you could fall in love with the resorts, you could fall in love with the destinations. But really what you do as a cruise planner advisor is you are to that term, advising people. You are spending your time and working with people. So as long as you like people, and that is kind of I won't call it a requirement because it's a hard thing to determine if somebody doesn't, but I think if you've got those going for you, right, you love working with people and helping people, and that's really what it comes down to. You're helping people reach their lifetime goal in many cases, to go to one particular place or to experience that travel. There's nothing more exciting than helping people get there. So those are the two things that I would say really we look for. No specific background. We have people who've been in travel for years. We have people who brand spanking new. We actually have people who actually even haven't done much travel yet, but they just understand the value of it. So again, it's just being passionate for those two things.
Love it. Okay, so Kyle, you're running the business by yourself, and then Robert decides, or you decide it's time that you need more help. What did that look like? How long were you in business? And as you asked Robert to join the business, how did you guys decide how that would work? Who's tackling what? So kind of what was the point that you needed to bring someone else in, and what did that bring to your business by having a partner join you?
About 2.5 years into it, I was just constantly overwhelmed with the inquiries, and I would be texting him while he was at work, and I'd be asking him what he's doing, and he's hiding in the bathroom watching TikToks because his job didn't require too much active things unless an emergency happened. So I'm here drowning in inquiries, and I can't get to all of them quick enough. And he's watching TikToks hiding in a warehouse, and he comes home one night, and I was just like, "You're done. I can't continue this way, and you're not really doing anything at work, so you kind of need to help me."
So let's hear your story, Robert, because this is sounding. So there was a business need to do it, but also too, you're leaving that security of a job, probably benefits that go along with that. So what was that like for you to take the leap and join the business? And then again, how did you divide and conquer responsibilities in the business?
So yeah, when Kyle came to me and said, "Hey, we need to do this. I need some help." I wasn't worried about our benefits because my benefits come from the military. My military background takes care of all of our benefits, and my job was pretty much just securing our bills for the house and giving us some play money. And I knew that this franchise was our legacy, and I knew that it was what's going to propel us into the future. So we sat down and I said, "Well, show me the numbers." Because we had an option on the table. It was either we needed to hire someone or I needed to come home. Well, I wasn't going to work to pay someone else to have a job. So we looked at the numbers. The numbers were there. The numbers could pretty much replace what I was making at my job. So I said, okay, the numbers will cover our bills. We can still keep the house functional. So we made the decision, and I said, that's fine. So we actually took a vacation. Yeah, went on vacation, put my 2 weeks in while we were on vacation. So there was a move happening at work, and I kind of was bringing all my personal stuff home from work. And my boss was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm just bringing my personal stuff home so the movers don't move it." And so she was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense." And then we went on our 2 week vacation. I put my 2 weeks in like while we were on vacation. I came home, I worked one day, and then I left. And I came here to be full time in our Cruise Planners franchise. And
Awesome.
we have a very good dynamic. Kyle built this business mainly on just cruises because Kyle works very linear. His brain very, very linear. My brain is chaos. So I love land because land can be very chaotic. There is a lot of different components that come to it. So I thrive in that. So we have a very good work dynamic. So Kyle handles the land side of the business, the cruise side of the business, and I can handle the land side of the business. And that's how we built our business moving forward. Is anything that comes in, he will handle all the cruises. And if they say, "Hey, we want a pre or post," he puts the cruise in place and then kicks it over to my office, and then I handle all the land around it.
Awesome. So you're kind of separating out the duties, and relying on your strengths, which is great. Okay, so here's where I'm going to talk about a couple more data points from the survey. 99% of your franchisees rate the technology provided as excellent, very good, or good. So that's amazing. And then 98% rate the overall training and support and the marketing and promotional programs also above average. So that's excellent, very good, and good. So Scott, I'm going to go back to you. Tell me what type of training and tools that you offer to new franchisees joining your system for being part of your network.
Well, it does certainly start with the training and the support as part of that. Actually, when you purchase a franchise with us, one of our requirements is that you come to what we call Star University, and Star University is a 6-day program, very intensive, all day, 6 days, and we spend the majority of the time teaching all the things that you just talked about, our technology, our marketing programs, sales skills, and certainly a lot about our product too. You know, we're an interesting franchise in that we sell, I'll say, third-party products, right? We sell cruise lines and companies, and that the consumer is very familiar with. So the end product is not what Cruise Planners delivers. What we deliver are our franchisees. In other words, you know, with Robert and Kyle, that's who the consumer is going to work with. That's in essence who they are buying when they are working with a Cruise Planners franchise. So we've built our technology basically to do everything we can to support that franchisee or anyone that works within the franchise to basically make them as efficient as possible. Because again, as I mentioned, the key to this business is the human relations, right? Is getting to know people and spending time with people. And so you don't want to have to spend the rest of your time, again, doing things that are very manual and having to re-enter things 14 different ways. We actually design our system, our technology to really be integral to our system. And you know, I always talk about franchise. You know, why does somebody buy a franchise in general? And in most cases, there's really only 3 primary reasons. It's a brand, right? The brand that might be known, well known, et cetera. In our particular case, our brand is a great brand, especially inside the industry. We are incredibly well known with a great reputation, but I'm not going to say that we're a household name at this point across from the consumer side. But the brand is still really important because we're over $1 billion company. And so again, the size, the credibility is immediate once you explain who Cruise Planners is and that you as a franchisee are part of that. And the second, of course, is a system, right? We always look at, well, why a franchise? Well, because there's a system. It's a system that's been developed. And our system is twofold. One is the actual system of selling and building your business. And then what we've done is, again, we've built our technology around that system. So everything talks to each other. It's completely integrated, from the marketing programs to the sales process to the booking engine. All of that is integrated together as a system. But as you know, Robert and Kyle explained, and I love it. We have a very set system, but unlike some other franchises, it's incredibly flexible, because again, it could be you've got people that make a decision as they have cruise versus land. They might have certain customers they work with, certain destinations that they work with. Some people go after groups. We have people who do this part-time. You know, I love Robert and Kyle's story because I love hearing that the biggest problem we had is I had too many inquiries, right? I had too many people who wanted travel. I mean, what a great problem to have. And you know, again, obviously, to some extent, that's the goal, is you get to a point that, okay, I need help and I really want to do this. And again, we've got people who start at part-time and they build to that point, right? And then get full-time and then go from there. So it's a very flexible program in that regard. And so again, obviously, we have ongoing training, not only just our up front, but ongoing training on that, and ongoing training on our marketing programs. And you know, the other reason for a franchise in general is the support, right? The overall support on a regular basis available to any franchise. And we take a lot of pride.
Yeah. So I was going to say, so that's perfect. So Robert and Kyle, what do the scores in technology, marketing, training, and support, how do those impact you as people or in your business?
That was really when I looked at this model, you know, Kyle did all the research into it. And I did go to Star. So I've been on board since the beginning. You know, when Kyle approached me and said, this is what we're doing, from day one, I've been on board, and I was there kind of in the background. You know, I was learning things. So during COVID, when the world was shut down, I was doing some of the trainings and all just quietly in the background and learning some stuff, but I wasn't actively engaged, but I would still bring inquiries in. So I was kind of like the silent person. I would bring people to the table and be like, oh, you need to meet my husband and he'll book you on a cruise or whatever. So I was bringing business into the business. But then when I actively got engaged with the franchise and really started digging into all the technology that Cruise Planners has, that is really kind of what set the hook, because I was like, I can't do this. I'm not, my generation, my generation came around and saw the computer being built. His generation was born with the computer. So uh, all the technology, all the training and all that, I like that. I'm very impressed by that. I like systems that are in place that really help you and teach you everything you need to know. So that way you don't have to go out and about, which kind of goes into the whole, this business kind of runs itself. The technology that Cruise Planners has in place is nothing like anything else. I have sat in hot tubs with other business models in the travel industry, and to hear them talk and the things that they ask me, and they're like, well, how did you set up your email? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, like, who did you use for your email provider? I'm like, I didn't. The franchise home office set up my email. What are you talking about? What do you use? They're like, oh, I have a Gmail. I'm like, what? I don't understand what you're doing. We're very professional. It's my name at cruiseplanners.com. My website is Cruise Planners. It's all branded. And the fact that Cruise Planners does that for you, I don't mind paying what we paid for the franchise, because it comes with all of that. So at the end of the day, I don't feel like, hey, we got taken advantage of or anything. I feel like we paid for a very high quality product. And it shows in everything that Cruise Planners does for us, from the training to the technology to the support. I can pick up the phone right now and call anyone at home office, and they're going to get me the answers that I need, point me in the right direction. And they have all of those contacts, over 30 years of Michelle and her team building those connections in the industry. They're going to put me in touch with who I need to be in touch with to get me the answers that I need. I can't tell you how many times we've stepped on board, and just the name Cruise Planners, the reverence that it offers us when we get out there, people know who we are. People are like, oh, you're with Cruise Planners. Oh, we know that name. Oh, you must know so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. And they know us. We have respect in the marketplace, and we respect those in the marketplace.
Yeah. And so what does that do for your work-life balance? What does that mean to you? And what does your life look like as Cruise Planner franchisees? How much are you working versus not working? And kind of what do your days look like?
It actually allows us to work, I would say. It allows us to focus on our clients, and allows us to focus on actually doing stuff that actually makes us money, as opposed to doing maintenance on stuff. So I'm not having to spend time on worrying about maintaining a website, maintaining pages and things like that. Now, with our marketing and stuff, there's a whole marketing system that Cruise Planners does for us. And then what I do is I just can enhance it. So when we're out traveling and things like that, I can enhance it by posting our personal pictures and when we travel and stuff. But for our work-life balance, it allows us to actually keep office hours so that I'm running my business and my business is not running me. So while, yes, I'm on call for my clients all the time, I can maintain a healthy work-life balance where I know I can put the phone down at 6 o'clock, and my system, somebody can go in and they can book a cruise via my website at 8:30 at night. I'll get an email, I'll get a notification the next morning that they did that, and I can call them back at my convenience. I don't have to stop what I'm doing and worry about them at 9, 10 o'clock at night, just because they decided they got home from work and wanted to plan their vacation and I'm sleeping.
Yeah, you're not missing out on that opportunity by not being on the phone. So that's great.
Right.
I think also too, something that both Scott and you guys have talked about, which I see is common, is that franchise candidates will come into a system thinking that all the marketing and the tools from the franchisor will drive business. But I love that Scott has talked about the training you do around sales and what you guys are doing in your community to make those relationships. And I think that's one, it's always easy to sell what you're doing if you love what you're doing. But as much marketing as it is that brings someone to your business, how you service them, how you support them, how you interact with them is going to keep them coming back to you. And so understanding that marketing is one piece, but what you guys are doing in your community and how you're helping people is really what will drive the success of your business. So those were great examples. I have a question as far as, are you traveling more or less now that you're travel franchisees? You said you took a 2-week vacation before you joined.
So much more. We probably take one major trip a month. I will say one major trip a month is what we take. In fact, my father-in-law asked us why we own a house. And I said, because I have to have my mail go somewhere and it's cheaper than renting.
Love it. I love it. Okay. Another really important part of the culture of your organization is the franchisees, the fellow franchisees. Scott, I want to start with you in what are ways that you help facilitate franchisees connecting with each other in your brand?
So I love it. And I want to tag on a little bit to, what Robert and Kyle are talking about there too, just because I love the fact that they said that, they took a vacation to determine their next steps with this business. Vacations is our business. And it really, as they say that they post their pictures, et cetera. One of the things that we recommend from a marketing perspective is that we certainly do have what I'll call turnkey marketing that does email and direct mail, and we've magazines, we've got all kinds of wonderful things. But at the end, there's probably nothing more powerful than some picture of your toes on a beach saying, "Can I send you here?" And it's different than if it's just a random beautiful picture, if it's you, right? And you're the one who's actually experiencing that. So, there's not a lot of other businesses out there that say, look, the best thing you can do for your business is leave and travel and start going out and taking pictures and sharing those. But that becomes the key, is that you've got to share that information and you got to put that out there. So, I always say turnkey is a great term, but sometimes we think turnkey means, oh, I don't have to do anything, but it actually just means all you do is turn the key, it opens the door. You got to walk in the door, you got to do some things, right? So, and that's true of any business. The beauty is, we do provide great resources, great tools, great things that are out there. But it is up to, and as you mentioned, the human element. And the other thing that is exciting about our business, which goes to what you're talking about, is that we have currently over 2,500 franchises in our system, and yet they really don't compete against each other. The overall focus of our business is not how we can split up the pie, but realizing that the pie can get nothing but bigger. And we're still in less than probably 5% of the sales that are happening in the cruise and the tour and the resort world. So that there's such a huge opportunity for more people to get the service and the experience of working with a cruise planners agency that our folks definitely share. They share what they do. As I mentioned earlier, there's so many different models too, right? Is that they may say, well, I don't deal with that kind of customer. So, I have a very unique niche here or there. So people will share exactly how, just like Robert and Kyle do, that, this is how we built our business. This is how we market. This is what we do. And there's not a hesitancy like, oh, I don't want to share that because someone might do what I do. People want them to do what they do because, again, it helps all of us, right? If we can continue to grow the business across the board. So there are tremendous friendships and relationships that are built right within our network, beyond the support that we give and the training that we do, that they'll learn just as much from each other as they will from us.
Yeah. So Robert and Kyle, from your perspective, what are your relationships with your fellow franchisees, and how do you tap into them to help support you in the way that you are handling your business and, more importantly, growing your business?
That's a great question. This system, Cruise Planners, a network of cruise planners, it's unlike any other group of friends that we've ever had, because, like Scott said, we're not competing against each other. I come from a family. We both come from families of realtors, where we watched our family members who were realtors really kind of fight tooth and nail, in a cutthroat industry where it's like, oh, I have to get that sale, because if I'm not on top of my game, someone else is going to swoop in and steal my client. And we don't feel like that here. Some of our best friends are other franchise owners. We talk to them all the time. We have dinner with them. We feed off of each other from ideas, like Scott said, from what's your niche? You know, how are you maybe leveraging, you know, this vendor? How are you closing that sale or getting someone on this ship? Because maybe I'm having trouble with it. Maybe you know, someone is really good with groups. We might lean onto them. How are you putting a group together and stuff like that? We learn from each other. We actually even refer some clients to other franchise owners because we believe in the old adage, you know, a rising tide raises all ships. So if I don't specialize in something or I don't know something about it, I'm willing to lose that sale just to keep it in the CP family, and I'll pass it on to another franchise because I know that they'll be able to help them out more than I can. And in turn, that's happened to us too. We've had other franchises refer some clients to us because they know we specialize in something that they don't specialize in. So I haven't seen any other market out there where that happens like it happens here in cruise. And you know, I feel like when we get together with other franchise owners, we talk about life, we talk about our trips, you know, we talk about the joy and the things that we've done, not about how, you know, we're competing against each other or, you know, what is our next goal and stuff like that in a very competitive way. We talk about it in a, hey, how can we bring other people with us way? You know, when you sit down and you know, you talk to some of the millionaires, they're talking to you on, hey, how can we get you to come on these amazing trips that we just on? How can we get you on that next river cruise with us? How can we get you down to Antarctica with us? One of our friends was down in Antarctica and did the polar plunge, and he was like, "You need to come with me. We need to go do the polar plunge." And he knows I hate cold water, so you know we laughed about it. I was like, "Well, probably not gonna happen, but I'll go look at the penguins." So you know, it's just great. We have those laughs, and it's like a big family. In fact, we like some other cruise planners franchise owners more than we like some members of our own family. So you know.
I hope they don't watch this.
They're chosen, I like to think, and you know, everybody likes this, and you know, even though you know Scott might sit on the executive committee and stuff like that, along with Michelle Fee, when you run into them, it's like they're your best friend. You know, Scott will sit down and talk with you and have a drink, and he doesn't put himself above you. You know, Michelle doesn't put herself above you. They talk to you like they've known you their whole life, and they want to help you. They want you to pull information from them, and they're there to support you. So they don't treat you like, you know, a boss, treat employee. They treat you like a colleague, which we really appreciate. Even from the coaches, we did there in the beginning. We did not take it. It was our own fault, and we probably shot ourselves in the foot in the beginning. We did not lean into our coach for the first 6 months because the term coach had a negative connotation in our mind. And we thought, hey, it's COVID, you know, we're not selling anything, no one's traveling, we're going to call our coach, and they're going to be like, well, why aren't you selling stuff? And so we didn't call our coach, and we didn't take coaching for 6 months. And then when we finally did take coaching, we were like, oh, wait, this isn't what we thought it was going to be at all. You're actually supporting us and like asking us what our goals are and what we want to do. And a lot of our coaching calls had nothing to do with sales at all. And we were highly surprised by that. It was, how can they help us do what we want to do and build our business the way we want to build our business? They didn't have some preset connotation on how they want our business to be. They wanted our business to grow like we wanted our business to grow, which we appreciated more than anything.
Yeah, so you touched on a lot there. So what I wrote down is one, the franchisee community is so powerful. And this is what I say to candidates all the time when I talk to them is tap into these people. They have been doing it before you. They've messed up. They've done great things. And to not make those connections, well, one, you're going into a business that requires you to network and relationships. So great way to practice is reaching out to your network and understanding who are those people that love to raise their hand and help you. The other is, gosh, the thing on the sales coach is so common that we hear that they're called different things in every organization. But I think that role is one of the hardest in franchising because they are trying to help each person in their individual business. But exactly what you said, you're not in my business. You're probably younger than me. Like, what can you teach me that I don't know? So to embrace that role and let them help your business sooner rather than later, I think can really impact your business. And always when you're a new franchisee, follow the system. You bought the system, don't go rogue. Do what is recommended by other franchisees and by your corporate staff to really to work the system that you bought into. I think that, you know, franchising is a unique space where you have to be entrepreneurial, but you have to also follow some rules. There are some bumpers to help you be more successful. So those are great. Scott, I love your perspective because you really are a sales coach. I mean, you are helping these people look at their business and have the skills to be really effective in their business. What advice would you give to people looking to get into franchising or to new franchise owners? And it doesn't have to be related to sales, but just in your experience doing this, what advice would you offer to anyone that's watching this and thinking about getting into a franchise business?
Well, I think you've hit on really the key to this is you mentioned, you know, the system, right? And I mentioned earlier, there's really only, you know, maybe 3 or 4 reasons to buy a franchise, and one being that brand, right? That okay, is it a brand, and what's that brand going to do for me? The other is the support element, right? Which again, we're very proud of our coaching system that Robert was talking about, and when we've developed that, we developed it a little differently, that we have an inbound, right? Anybody can call and ask us questions and support that. But we have these coaches that are actually assigned to our franchisees. So they really do understand what that particular franchise wants. And the way that we set up our whole business really is our goal is simply to have you hit your goal as a franchisee. As I mentioned earlier, we have people who do this part-time, we have people who do it full-time, and then people, again, are growing, you know, to extraordinary numbers. Nobody's more important than somebody else. We certainly going to celebrate the higher producers because we're in the sales business, and
Mhm.
obviously as people hit those larger numbers, we want to celebrate and jump up and down. But if the ultimate goal is only to get to a certain level, and if we can help you do that and you hit that goal, whatever that goal might be, we're going to celebrate with you. And that is a significant difference, I think, in our particular franchise versus a lot of others that might say, well, you know, you've got a quota, or we really need you to hit this, or, you know, based on your territory or whatever it is, we think you should have this. Again, ours has, and now coming back to the other thing that is such a huge value for our franchise, and I'll say all franchises, is that system, right? Is to really say, well, what is the system? And then to some extent, what is the flexibility within this system? And I think that's one of the primary benefits that we have. You know, there are some franchises that are incredibly successful because it is so systematic that the owner probably doesn't even need to show up, right? They can have teenagers run the entire operation, and it's going to work because it's absolutely systematized. We will never be that type of an operation. This is an owner-operated type of franchise because it's just two people related. There is a people element. We can automate everything. We can automate marketing. We can, you know, again, develop incredible technology. But at the end, you know, we don't want to be somebody that is just throwing our stuff on the internet and people decide to click on it. We want that human interaction. That's the value that we bring. So having that and really doing it in all the different ways, as you know, obviously when you got humans involved, you got a million different types of personalities and everything else that's involved there. And that's the flexibility that our system has. So we have a very strong system. And to your point is, you know, we don't recommend that people do things way out of the norm, right? Is that there are certain systems which will help you, certain technology tools which are going to save you time. But how you develop your business and the way you develop it, there's a tremendous amount of flexibility here. So again, I think I'll come back to what I said earlier, is that you have to do your own self-evaluation before you buy any business, right? Is that, what do I see myself doing? What do I want to do? Do I want to be doing that particular task on a regular basis? Or do I want to, you know, have 48 employees that are trying to do something for me? Or do I want to be involved in really helping people? And if that's my calling, again, I'll say, what other product could you imagine that would be more fun to, you know, help people experience than travel? So it really does come down to that self-evaluation. What do you want? What do you see yourself doing for the next 10, 20 years, whatever it might be? And are you going to enjoy it? Life's too short to just say, well, you know, but I make maybe more money doing this, maybe, but we have a, you know, a great opportunity to make a lot of income but doing things where you are helping people achieve their lifetime dreams.
Love that. So Kyle, I'm going to start with you. I'll give you each a chance to offer any advice you have to someone looking. But Kyle, you are our millennial rock star. You bought into the business, we think around 27 years old. What advice do you give to, especially to younger people that are thinking about taking this leap and joining a franchise system? What advice would you offer them, either in how you researched and thought about joining Cruise Planners, or just how in the mindset side, how do you make that leap to leave what you're doing and try something new and jump into the unknown?
I always make things way worse in my mind than they will actually be in real life. So I probably stressed myself out for 3 months prior to buying the franchise because I was so worried about not being a people-y person enough, not being not having enough qualities that I saw in people in Cruise Planners marketing. I just freaked myself out for 3 months and stressed myself out. So now anytime that I get this opportunity, I just say, sign the papers, just have a glass of wine, sign the papers, and do it, because you're freaking yourself out with all these what ifs and all these under evaluations that you're doing of yourself. You will be perfect for what your business needs. Whether that's here or whether that's somewhere else in the world, what you can offer is enough. And what you can provide is perfect for what your business is going to be. So just don't overthink it and just go for it.
I love it. So Robert, to you, advice you give to someone looking to get into a franchise, or I also too, I think so important that you have your partner, your spouse involved in that decision. What advice would you give to them in talking to their partner, or to partners that have somebody coming to them and saying, I want to do this, I want to jump into a franchise system? What advice would you have to offer those folks?
Yeah, so I would say, because this has come, people have come to us with this, and they're like, we're thinking about, we want to buy a Cruise Planner franchise. And what I tell them is, I say, listen, go in it together. Don't just put one of you on the contract. Go in it as a partnership together from the beginning, because right now, maybe one of you is not on board, but that doesn't mean 2, 3, 4 years on the road, the situation won't change and the other one wants to engage. And it's going to be so much easier to let the person be engaged if they were engaged, if their name was on that paperwork from the start. If you're going to try to put them in 3, 4 years down the road, you might have to restructure your entire business to do that. So put their name, even if they're just a silent part from the beginning, put their name on the documents and do it as a team. That way they're there. Plus, if something were to happen to you, and let's say you were to get in an accident, they're then able to take over the company because their name is on the company documents. You're not having to then worry about, oh, well, it was only in that one person's name. Now you have to go through the whole legal process. It's just talk to compliance, let them you through it. They'll give you recommendations, but start as a team from the beginning. Even like I said, if you're a silent team. And the other advice I would give is, I tell them, this isn't a get rich quick. All right, this takes time. You're going to get out of this what you put into it. So be willing to just put your head down and just push through. Any business, no matter whether it's this or whether you were starting a McDonald's franchise, whatever, it's going to take anywhere from 3 to 5 years or longer to start seeing numbers and success. This isn't, you might start putting some sales in and you might start making a little bit of money in your first year or two, but to start making real money, it's going to take a couple years. You're not going to quit your job next month type of thing. So keep your job. Don't put in your 2 weeks because you bought a franchise yesterday. Put your head down, push forward. It's going to take some time, and it's going to, but it will happen. But you're going to get out of this what you put into it.
I think that's great. And I think that's one of the hardest questions for people looking to get into a franchise is, how much money can I make, or when will I break even? So I think you addressed it with, you get what you put into it. So you can make this your full-time job and get there quicker, or you can kind of build your book of business while you have some other income coming in. So I think those are great. Any parting words from you guys? This has been a fantastic conversation. I do appreciate you joining us. Do you have any other parting words before we wrap things up?
Parting words is, when Kyle only looked at one. When he brought this to me, I played on the computer. I looked at others. And if you're gonna go something, go with the best. Read the reviews. I would highly encourage you, read the reviews. And we did choose the best.
Love it.
So choose something, choose the best, and go with it, but stick with it. That's the biggest thing. Whatever you choose, whether it's or anything else, stick with it. Don't just be a flash in the pan. Just commit yourself to it and stick with it.
Awesome. Scott, anything from you as we wrap up?
Yeah, I just love that advice, and I love the honesty in which Robert kind of painted the picture there, and we do the same thing. Is that this is not something you're going to start seeing income from day one. Cash flow is a challenge in our business, honestly. That even if you're phenomenally successful in your first month, it's going to take many months for the payments to come in off of that, just the way our industry is structured. So, we definitely want to be honest with people, which is why so many people do get into our organization as a part-time basis, where they keep their full-time job and they wait until they get to a certain point before they flip over and maybe make it full-time, if that's what their eventual goal is. And again, we're a unique lower cost franchise because we give folks that opportunity, right? They can come in, and if they're in a position financially that they can support themselves for a while and start right off the get-go full-time, then that's great, right? We certainly support that. But we're also part-time. We've got people that just dabble for a few years until they eventually turn it into a full-time business for themselves. So there's a lot of flexibility. Again, I'm a big fan of franchising in general. Obviously, wearing my green shirt, I tend to lean a little bit to the great, opportunity that we have at Cruise Planners. It's always great to hear, Robert and Kyle's story, and I think they're spot on. Also, is even if one of the spouses isn't in the business, you need their support. You need them to be supportive of what's happening there. And again, that's what I think is such an important part of our business is, what other business could be more fun than being in the travel business and planning your next business vacation trip. So it's a great business to be in.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Hey, it's a write-off. It's your business. Yeah. And I think, again, also, I love the transparency of how you're educating candidates that are looking at your brand or franchising in general as they come in. So they have realistic expectations of, you have to run the business. It's not someone else doing all the work for you. And I think cash flow is a challenge for most business owners. So always have more than you think you'll need to get to that break even and support yourself. That's great advice. Is that it just, especially today, you just don't know what's going to happen. So be prepared for longer than you think it will take to break even. So great conversation. Thank you all for joining. I'm sorry I didn't wear green today. No one called and told me, but really appreciate meeting you all and sharing your story today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.